Hey there, you incredible story lovers, dreamers, and hopeless romantics out there. Picture this, a guy who's got it all: charm, looks, confidence, and a dating history that reads like a runway lineup from Fashion Week. He's the kind of man who only dates models, the ones with perfect smiles, flawless style, and Instagram feeds that scream perfection. But what happens when someone completely unexpected, a quiet, quirky bookworm who'd rather spend her nights curled up with a novel than chasing likes, steps into his world and flips it upside down? That's the question that's going to keep you glued to this video, and I promise you by the end, you'll have all the answers to the mystery that brought you here today. Welcome to He Only Dated Models, Until a Bookworm Changed Everything, a story that's equal parts heart-pounding, heartwarming, and totally relatable, no matter who you are or where you're at in life. So grab your favorite snack, cozy up, and let's dive into a tale that's going to make you laugh, maybe tear up a little, and definitely keep you hooked until the very last second. Trust me, you're not going to want to click away from this one. I'm talking directly to you, because this story is about the kind of love, transformation, and surprises that we all secretly crave. Let's set the stage. Imagine a bustling cityscape, somewhere like New York or Los Angeles, where the lights never dim, and everyone's chasing something. Fame, fortune, or maybe just a fleeting moment of feeling like they matter. Our leading man, let's call him Ethan, is the guy everyone notices when he walks into a room. He's got that effortless charisma, the kind that makes heads turn and hearts race. Ethan's life is a highlight reel. Exclusive parties, designer suits, and a phone buzzing with messages from women who could grace the cover of any magazine. For years, he's built his world around dating models. Women who seem to embody perfection, who fit the image of success he's always chasing. To the outside world, Ethan's got it made. He's living the dream, right? But here's the thing nobody tells you about dreams. They can get lonely when they're built on surface-level connections. Deep down, Ethan's starting to feel it. A quiet ache, a nagging question about whether there's more to life than the glamorous bubble he's created. That's where the mystery begins, and it's the same mystery that's probably tugging at your heart right now as you watch this. Have you ever wondered if the life you're chasing is the one you really want? Or if the person you're meant to be with is nothing like the one you imagined? Stick with me, because Ethan's about to find out, and I know you're curious to see how it all unfolds. Now, let's talk about you for a second, because I know why you clicked on this video. Maybe you're a romantic at heart, searching for a story that reminds you love can show up in the most unexpected places. Maybe you're someone who's felt overlooked, like the world's too busy chasing shiny things to notice the real you. Or maybe you're just here for a good story, one that's going to make you feel something real, something raw, something that sticks with you long after the video ends. Whoever you are, I see you, and I'm telling you right now, this story is for you. It's not just about Ethan and his model dating ways. It's about what happens when life throws you a curveball, when someone walks into your world and challenges everything you thought you knew. That someone is Lila, our bookworm, and she's not what you'd expect. She's not chasing fame or followers. She's got her nose buried in books, her wardrobe is more cozy than couture, and she's got this quiet confidence that doesn't scream for attention but somehow demands it anyway. Lila's the kind of person you might pass by without a second glance, but once you notice her, you can't look away. And that's exactly what's about to happen to Ethan. You're going to love this moment. It's funny, it's relatable, and it's the spark that sets everything in motion. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just say this is where the story starts to get juicy, and you're not going to want to miss a single second. Here's the thing about stories like this. They hit us right in the feels because they're about more than just romance. They're about growth, about breaking out of the boxes we put ourselves in, about finding the courage to chase what really matters. Ethan spent years building a life that looks perfect on the outside, but it's starting to crack. Every date, every party, every picture-perfect moment feels like it's missing something, and he can't quite put his finger on it. Maybe you felt that too, like you're going through the motions, chasing what everyone else says you should want, but it's not quite enough. That's why this story's going to resonate with you, whether you're in your teens, 20s, 30s, or beyond. It's universal. It's about that moment when life forces you to stop and ask, is this really me? For Ethan, that moment comes when he meets Lila, and let me tell you, their first encounter is anything but smooth. Picture a crowded coffee shop, Ethan distracted by his phone, Lila lost in a dog-eared copy of Pride and Prejudice. One spilled coffee, one awkward apology, and suddenly, two worlds that couldn't be more different are on a collision course. You're going to love this moment. It's funny, it's relatable, and it's the spark that sets everything in motion. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just say this is where the story starts to get juicy, and you're not going to want to miss a single second. Now, I know what you're thinking. How does a guy like Ethan, who's used to dating women who could walk a runway, end up falling for someone like Lila? What is it about her that shakes up his entire world? That's the heart of this story, and it's what's going to keep you watching until the very end. I'm not just telling you a love story. I'm inviting you into a journey about connection, about finding someone who sees you for who you really are, not just the version you show the world. Lila's not just a bookworm. She's got this fire in her, a way of looking at the world that's equal parts curious and unapologetic. She's not trying to impress anyone, and maybe that's what makes her so magnetic. Ethan's used to people bending over backward to fit into his world, but Lila? She's not about that life. She's got her own world, one filled with stories, ideas, and a kind of magic that doesn't need a filter to shine. When these two meet, it's not love at first sight. It's more like a challenge, a push and pull that forces both of them to rethink what they want and who they are. And you, my friend, are going to be right there with them, feeling every moment of doubt, every spark of connection, every laugh, and every tear. This isn't just a story, it's an experience, and I'm so excited to share it with you. Let's talk about why this story matters. In a world obsessed with perfection, perfect looks, perfect feeds, perfect lives, it's easy to feel like you don't measure up. Maybe you've scrolled through social media and wondered why your life doesn't look like that. Maybe you've felt like you're not enough, like you need to be someone else to be loved or noticed. This story's here to remind you that the real stuff, the stuff that matters, doesn't come with a filter. It's in the messy moments, the unexpected connections, the people who see you when you're not even trying to be seen. Ethan's about to learn that lesson the hard way, and Lila's going to be the one to show him. But you're going to have to keep watching to find out, because this is one cliffhanger you won't see coming. Alright, you're still with me, and I'm thrilled because things are about to get even more intense and he only dated models, until a bookworm changed everything. Let's pick up right where we left off, with that spilled coffee in the crowded city coffee shop, where Ethan's polished world of glamour just collided with Lila's quiet, book-filled universe. That moment wasn't just a clumsy accident. It was the spark that ignited a chain of events neither of them could have predicted. As Ethan mumbles an apology, wiping coffee off his tailored jacket, Lila looks up from her tattered copy of Pride and Prejudice with a mix of annoyance and amusement. There's something about her eyes, sharp, curious, and completely unbothered by his charm, that throws him off. For the first time in forever, Ethan feels like he's not in control, like he's the one being studied instead of the other way around. You're probably wondering, just like I was, how a single moment like this could unravel a guy who's got his life so perfectly curated. But that's the thing about life. It's the small, unexpected encounters that can shift everything. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around to see how this one moment spirals into a story packed with love, secrets, and a few twists that'll leave you speechless. Let's dive deeper into Ethan and Lila's worlds, peel back the layers, and uncover the tensions that are about to make this story impossible to look away from. Ethan's life, up until this point, has been a carefully crafted masterpiece, at least on the surface. He's in his late 20s, a rising star in the world of high-end real estate, selling penthouses to influencers and tech moguls in a city where status is everything. His Instagram is a gallery of rooftop parties, exotic vacations, and dates with women who look like they stepped out of a Vogue shoot. To his friends, his followers, and even himself, Ethan's living the dream. A life of luxury, attention, and endless possibilities. But there's a crack in the facade, one he's been ignoring for a while. You see, Ethan grew up in a small town, the kind of place where nobody had much, and dreams of the big city felt like a fairy tale. He clawed his way out, determined to prove he was more than just the kid from nowhere. Dating models became part of that image, a way to show the world he'd made it. But lately, the thrill of it all, the parties, the dates, the constant need to be seen, feels hollow. He's starting to wonder if he's chasing someone else's idea of success. And then there's his best friend Marcus, who's been with him since their college days. Marcus is the life of the party, always pushing Ethan to keep up the playboy lifestyle, but even he's starting to notice Ethan's restlessness. Marcus teases him about it, but there's a subtle tension there. Maybe Marcus is worried about what happens if Ethan changes, if he stops being the guy who lights up every room. This is where the first layer of mystery deepens. What's driving Ethan's unease? And why does meeting Lila feel like the answer to a question he hasn't even asked yet? You're probably feeling it too, that itch to know what's really going on beneath the surface. Now let's shift to Lila, because she's not just the quirky bookworm Ethan's about to underestimate. Lila's in her mid-20s, a librarian with a knack for finding the perfect book for anyone who walks through her door. She's got this quiet strength, the kind that comes from knowing exactly who she is, even if the world doesn't always notice. Her apartment is a cozy chaos of bookshelves, fairy lights, and mismatched mugs, a stark contrast to Ethan's sleek, minimalist penthouse. But Lila's got her own struggles, one she keeps hidden behind her quick wit and warm smile. She grew up in a family where being practical was the golden rule. Her parents wanted her to be a lawyer or a doctor, not a librarian who spends her days surrounded by stories. That choice caused a rift, one that still stings when she gets those tense phone calls from her mom, asking when she's going to get serious about life. Lila's learned to push that pain down, but it's there, simmering. And here's where things get interesting. Lila's got a secret, something she's not telling anyone, not even her best friend, Sarah, who's a free-spirited artist always dragging Lila to poetry slams and open mic nights. This secret isn't just a plot twist, it's something that could change how Ethan sees her, how the world sees her, and maybe even how she sees herself. I'm not going to spill it yet, but let's just say it's tied to why Lila buries herself in books, why she's so fiercely independent, and why she's not as unaffected by Ethan's world as she pretends to be. You're probably wondering what she's hiding, and I promise, it's worth sticking around to find out. As Ethan and Lila's paths keep crossing, first at the coffee shop, then by chance at a charity gala where Lila's volunteering and Ethan's schmoozing with clients, the tension between them starts to build. Ethan's intrigued, maybe even a little obsessed, because Lila doesn't play by his rules. She doesn't flirt to get his attention. She doesn't care about his designer watch or his charming smile. Instead, she challenges him, calling him out when he's being superficial, but always with this playful spark that makes him want to keep talking to her. For Lila, Ethan's a puzzle. She's used to reading people like she reads her books, but he's harder to pin down. Is he just another shallow city guy, or is there something real beneath all that polish? Their banter is electric, full of witty back and forths that leave you rooting for them, even as you sense the storm brewing. See, Ethan's world doesn't just let go of him that easily. There's Vanessa, a stunning model he's been casually seeing, who's not thrilled about his sudden interest in someone so ordinary, at least by her standards. Vanessa's used to being the center of Ethan's attention, and she's not above stirring up some drama to keep it that way. Meanwhile, Lila's friend Sarah is pushing her to take a chance on Ethan, but Lila's hesitant. That secret she's carrying? It makes her wary of letting anyone get too close, especially someone like Ethan, who seems to belong to a world she's never wanted to be part of. You can feel the stakes rising, can't you? It's like watching two trains on a collision course, and you're dying to know if they'll crash or find a way to merge. But here's where the story takes a turn you might not expect. There's a subplot bubbling under the surface, one that adds another layer to this tangled web. Ethan's latest real estate deal, a massive project to turn an old community center into luxury condos, is hitting some roadblocks. The community's fighting back, led by a group of locals who don't want their history erased for another shiny high-rise. Guess who's quietly involved in that fight? Yup. Lila. She's not just a librarian, she's a volunteer at the community center, helping kids with after-school programs and organizing book drives. For her, it's personal. This place was a refuge growing up, a safe haven when her family life felt suffocating. Ethan doesn't know it yet, but his ambition is putting him at odds with the one person who's starting to matter to him. This conflict adds a whole new dimension to their story, because it's not just about romance anymore. It's about values, choices, and what it means to build a life that's true to who you are. It's not all smooth sailing. There's drama, there's conflict, there's a moment where it feels like everything might fall apart. I'm not going to give it away just yet, but let's just say there's a secret Lila's hiding, something that could change everything. What is it? How does it tie into Ethan's world of models and glamour? And will they find a way to bridge the gap between their two worlds, or will it tear them apart before they even get started? Will Ethan even realize Lila's connection to the center before it's too late? And how will Lila react when she finds out the guy she's starting to care about is tied to a project that could destroy something she loves? These questions are piling up, and I know you're itching to see how they play out. The tension's only getting thicker, and every moment is pulling you deeper into their world. Let's not forget the people around them, because no story's complete without those side characters who add flavor and complexity. Marcus, Ethan's best friend, is more than just the party guy. He's got his own struggles, like trying to keep up with Ethan's fast-paced life while hiding his own insecurities about never quite measuring up. Marcus sees Lila as a threat, not just to Ethan's lifestyle, but to their friendship. He's not a villain, but he's definitely stirring the pot, maybe even dropping hints to Vanessa about Ethan's new interest. Then there's Sarah, Lila's artist friend, who's all about living in the moment and embracing every wild idea. Sarah's the one pushing Lila to step out of her comfort zone, but she's also got her own drama. A messy breakup with a musician that's left her questioning her own choices in love. These side stories weave into the main plot, making it feel like a real, messy, beautiful world where everyone's trying to figure out who they are and what they want. And through it all, there's that lingering mystery of Lila's secret. Is it something from her past? Something about her family? Or maybe something she's planning that could change everything? I'm keeping that one close to the chest for now, because you're going to want to see how it unfolds. You're still here, and I'm pumped because the story of He Only Dated Models Until a Bookworm Changed Everything is about to take a turn that'll leave your jaw on the floor. We left off with Ethan and Lila's worlds colliding, their chemistry sparking in that crowded coffee shop and at the charity gala. But with storm clouds gathering, Lila's secret, the community center conflict, and the meddling of friends like Marcus and Vanessa. Now the stakes are about to skyrocket, and an unexpected twist is going to shake up everything Ethan and Lila thought they knew about each other. This is where the story gets raw, real, and downright unmissable, pulling you deeper into a whirlwind of romance, betrayal, and revelations that'll keep you glued to your screen. I'm talking to you, the one who loves a good plot twist, the one who's been rooting for Ethan and Lila but sensing there's more to this story than meets the eye. You're not wrong, and I promise, what's coming next is going to hit you right in the feels. Let's dive into the heart of this drama, where every moment pushes us closer to a climax you won't see coming, but we're not there yet. Oh no, we're building the tension, layering the suspense, and dropping a bombshell that'll make you rethink everything. Ethan's world is starting to feel like it's spinning out of control. And it's not just because of Lila. His big real estate deal, the one to turn the old community center into luxury condos, is hitting more than just roadblocks now. It's becoming a full-blown scandal. Word's getting out that the project might displace dozens of families, and the local news is eating it up, painting Ethan's company as the villain in a classic David versus Goliath story. Ethan's used to winning, used to charming his way out of any mess. But this time, the pressure's different. His boss is breathing down his neck, his investors are getting antsy, and Marcus, his so-called best friend, is starting to act more like a rival than an ally. See, Marcus has his own ambitions, and he's been quietly pitching ideas to Ethan's boss behind his back, hoping to snag a promotion if Ethan's deal falls apart. It's a betrayal Ethan doesn't see coming, and it's adding fuel to the fire of his growing doubts about the life he's built. He's starting to question everything. His career, his friendships, and especially his attraction to Lila, who's unlike anyone he's ever met. Their latest encounter at the gala left him rattled. Lila's quick wit and refusal to play his game made him feel alive in a way he hasn't in years. But when he tries to track her down afterward, he overhears her talking to Sarah about the community center, passionately arguing to save it. That's when it hits him. Lila's not just some random volunteer. She's one of the key organizers fighting his project. The realization feels like a punch to the gut, and you can imagine the storm brewing in Ethan's mind. Is Lila playing him? Is her interest in him genuine, or is it part of some strategy to derail his deal? You're probably feeling that same mix of shock and curiosity, wondering how these two can possibly move forward when they're on opposite sides of a battle that's tearing the city apart. Lila, meanwhile, is wrestling with her own demons, and this is where the story takes a wild, unexpected twist. She's falling for Ethan, despite every instinct telling her to run the other way. His charm, his vulnerability when he lets his guard down, it's getting under her skin, and it's terrifying. Lila spent years building walls around her heart, and that secret she's been hiding? It's not just a quirky detail. It's a bombshell that could change everything. At the gala, when Ethan was busy schmoozing, Lila slipped away to a quiet corner and pulled out her phone, checking an email that made her face go pale. The email was from a literary agent, and it wasn't just any email. It was an offer to publish a novel Lila's been secretly writing for years, a deeply personal story that draws on her own life, her struggles with her family, and her dreams of being more than what everyone expects. The twist. The novel's protagonist is loosely based on someone like Ethan, a charismatic, flawed man chasing a shallow version of success. If this book gets out, it could expose her innermost thoughts to the world, including Ethan, who might recognize himself in its pages. Lila's torn between chasing her dream of being a published author and protecting her privacy. Especially now that Ethan's becoming more than just a passing fascination. She hasn't told Sarah, hasn't told anyone, because the idea of being that vulnerable terrifies her. And now, with Ethan tied to the community center deal, she's starting to wonder if she's been naive to let him get so close. You're probably screaming at the screen, wondering how Lila's going to handle this. Will she tell Ethan about the book, or will he find out some other way? And how does this tie into the fight for the community center? The suspense is killing you, isn't it? Just hold on, because it's about to get even crazier. The subplot with Vanessa and Sarah is heating up too, adding layers of drama that make this story impossible to look away from. Vanessa, the model who's used to being Ethan's go-to, isn't just jealous, she's strategic. She's been digging into Lila, asking around, and she's caught wind of Lila's involvement with the community center protest. Vanessa sees an opportunity to drive a wedge between Ethan and Lila, maybe even leaking something to the press to make Lila look like a manipulative activist out to sabotage Ethan's career. Vanessa's not evil, but she's desperate to keep her place in Ethan's world, and she's willing to play dirty to do it. Meanwhile, Sarah's pushing Lila to embrace her feelings for Ethan, but her own life is a mess. That musician ex of hers? He's back in town, stirring up old feelings and making Sarah question whether she's really as free-spirited as she claims. Sarah's drama is starting to spill over into Lila's life, especially when she accidentally lets slip to Marcus that Lila's been hiding something big. Marcus, always looking for an edge, files that tidbit away, ready to use it if it means keeping Ethan in his orbit. The web of relationships is getting tangled, and you can feel the tension building, like a rubber band stretched to its limit. Everyone's got their own agenda, their own secrets, and it's all circling around Ethan and Lila, who are caught in the middle of a storm they didn't see coming. You're probably wondering how all these pieces fit together, and I'm telling you, it's going to be worth the wait to find out. And then there's the community center itself, which is more than just a backdrop. It's the heart of the conflict that's pushing Ethan and Lila to their breaking points. The protests are gaining traction, with local activists organizing rallies and social media campaigns that are going viral, trending with hashtags like #SaveOurCenter and #CommunityOverProfit. Lila's right in the thick of it, speaking at meetings, rallying the kids she works with, and pouring her heart into saving the place that gave her hope when she was younger. But the more she fights, the more she's forced to confront Ethan's role in the deal. When she sees his name on a permit application, it's like a knife in her chest. She wants to believe he's different, that the guy who laughed with her over spilled coffee and listened to her ramble about Jane Austen isn't the same guy who'd bulldoze a community's heart for a paycheck. But doubt is creeping in, and it's making her question everything. Ethan, on the other hand, is starting to see the human cost of his ambition. At one protest, he catches a glimpse of Lila leading a group of kids in a chant, and something in him cracks. He's never thought twice about the people affected by his deals, but seeing Lila, fierce, passionate, real, makes him wonder if he's on the wrong side. This is where the stakes hit a new high. Ethan's career, his identity, everything he's worked for is on the line, and so is his chance with Lila. And that twist about Lila's novel? It's a ticking time bomb, because Vanessa's got a friend in publishing who's heard whispers about a hot new manuscript, and she's starting to connect the dots. What happens when Ethan finds out Lila's been writing about someone like him? And what's Marcus going to do with the dirt he's digging up? You're dying to know, aren't you? You've stuck with me through the wild ride of He Only Dated Models, until a bookworm changed everything, and I'm so excited to bring you to the heart-pounding climax and resolution of this story. We left off with Ethan and Lila on a collision course, their budding connections strained by the community center conflict, Lila's secret novel, and the scheming of Vanessa and Marcus. The tension's been building like a storm ready to break, and now it's time for the clouds to part, revealing truths that'll shake both their worlds. This is where every question you've been asking. What's Lila's secret? Can Ethan change? Will their worlds ever align? Gets answered, but not without one final, jaw-dropping twist that'll leave you stunned. I'm talking directly to you, the one who's been rooting for these two, feeling their struggles, and craving a resolution that hits all the right emotional notes. Get ready, because this is where the story explodes into a climax that's equal parts heart-wrenching and hopeful, tying up loose ends while leaving you with a message that'll stick long after the video ends. Let's dive in and see how Ethan and Lila face their biggest challenges yet, and whether love, truth, and courage can win out in a world that's anything but perfect. The community center conflict has reached a boiling point, with protests now drawing crowds that spill into the streets. Hashtags like #SaveOurCenter and #CommunityFirst trending across social media, and news cameras capturing every moment. Ethan's caught in the middle, his name plastered on headlines as the face of the corporate machine trying to tear down a beloved local landmark. He's never felt more pressure. His boss is threatening to pull him from the project, his investors are wavering, and Marcus's betrayal is starting to come to light. Ethan discovers Marcus has been leaking details about the deal to a rival firm, hoping to sabotage Ethan's success and take his place. It's a gut punch, forcing Ethan to confront how much of his life has been built on shallow loyalties. But the real blow comes when he sees Lila at the biggest rally yet, standing on a makeshift stage, her voice steady but passionate as she speaks about the community center's importance. She's not just fighting for a building, she's fighting for the kids who find safety there, for the memories it holds, for the kind of world she believes in. Ethan's watching from the edge of the crowd, his heart twisting as he realizes how deeply he's fallen for her, and how deeply he's hurt her by being part of this deal. He wants to talk to her to explain, but before he can, Vanessa makes her move. She's gotten her hands on a draft of Lila's manuscript, thanks to her publishing friend, and she's ready to use it to ruin Lila's reputation. Vanessa corners Ethan at the rally, showing him pages from the novel that paint a character eerily similar to him, a charming but flawed man chasing a hollow dream. Ethan's stunned, not just by the words, but by the vulnerability and insight in them. Is this how Lila sees him? Is this who he really is? You're probably feeling the weight of this moment, wondering how Ethan's going to handle this betrayal and whether Lila's secret will destroy everything they've built. Lila, meanwhile, is grappling with her own reckoning. The literary agent is pushing her to sign the publishing deal, but the thought of her novel going public, especially now with Ethan in her life, makes her stomach churn. She's poured her heart into this book, weaving in her struggles with her family's expectations, her fears of being seen as not enough, and her hope for a life that's true to her values. The character based on Ethan isn't meant to be cruel. It's a reflection of the kind of person she's always been drawn to but afraid to trust. When she learns Vanessa has a copy of the manuscript, it's like her worst nightmare coming true. She confronts Vanessa at the community center, where a heated argument erupts. Vanessa accuses Lila of using Ethan to sabotage the real estate deal, twisting her words to make her seem manipulative. Lila's furious, but more than that, she's scared. Scared that Ethan will read the book and hate her, scared that her dream of being a writer will cost her everything. Sarah, her best friend, tries to calm her down, but Sarah's own drama with her musician ex is bubbling up, making her advice feel shaky. Lila's at a breaking point, torn between protecting her heart and fighting for what she believes in. She decides to confront Ethan, to tell him everything, about the novel, about her feelings, about why the community center matters so much. But when she finds him, he's holding the manuscript pages, his face a mix of hurt and confusion. The climax hits like a tidal wave. Ethan demands to know if Lila's been using him, if their connection was just a game to get leverage in the protest. Lila's voice shakes as she tries to explain, but the words feel inadequate against the weight of his distrust. You're probably holding your breath, wondering if they can bridge this gap or if it's too late for them. Here's where the story reaches its peak, and it's a moment that'll hit you right in the heart. Ethan, reeling from the manuscript and Marcus's betrayal, decides to do something he's never done before. He listens to his gut instead of his ambition. He goes to his boss and pulls out of the community center deal, risking his career to do what feels right. It's not easy, his boss is livid, and Marcus tries to spin it as Ethan cracking under pressure, but Ethan's done living for other people's approval. He tracks Lila down at the community center, where she's helping kids clean up after the rally. In a raw, emotional moment, he apologizes, not just for the deal, but for not seeing her sooner, for being so caught up in his own world that he missed what really mattered. Lila's stunned, but she's still guarded, her secret novel hanging between them like a wall. She takes a deep breath and tells him the truth. The book was her way of making sense of her own fears, her own dreams, and the character wasn't meant to hurt him. It was her trying to understand someone like him. Ethan listens, really listens, and for the first time, they see each other clearly. No filters, no pretenses. It's not a fairy tale moment. It's messy and real, with tears and awkward laughs, but it's the start of something new. The community center is saved, thanks to Ethan's withdrawal and a last-minute donor who steps in, inspired by the viral campaign. The subplots wrap up too. Marcus, exposed for his scheming, has to face his own insecurities and start over. Vanessa, realizing she's been chasing a version of Ethan that doesn't exist anymore, decides to move on, focusing on her own career. Sarah and her ex find closure, with Sarah choosing to embrace her independence rather than fall back into old patterns. You're probably feeling that warm glow of resolution, but hold on, there's one final twist that'll blow your mind. Just when you think Ethan and Lila have found their happy ending, a new email lands in Lila's inbox. It's from the literary agent, and it's not just about her novel. It's about a second manuscript, one Lila wrote years ago and forgot about, buried in an old hard drive. The agent found it through a mutual contact and wants to publish it too, but here's the kicker. This manuscript is about Lila's childhood, her family's pressure, and a secret she's never told anyone, not even Sarah. It's the real reason she clings to the community center, the reason she's so guarded. It's about a family scandal that forced her to rebuild her life from scratch. The agent thinks it's a bestseller, but publishing it would mean exposing her past to the world, including Ethan. Lila's standing at a crossroads. Does she take the leap, risking everything for her dream, or does she keep her past buried, even if it means holding back a part of herself from Ethan? The story ends with her looking at Ethan, who's laughing with the kids at the community center, unaware of the choice she's facing. It's a moment that leaves you in awe, wondering what she'll do next, but also feeling the weight of her growth, her courage, and the love she's found. Ethan's changed too. He's not the guy who only dated models anymore. He's someone who's learned to value what's real, thanks to a bookworm who changed everything. The takeaway? Love isn't about perfection. It's about seeing someone for who they are and choosing to grow together, even when it's messy.